The man who played the Man of Steel was found dead from a single gunshot wound. The police called it an open-and-shut suicide. But the man hired to clean up the mess, the most powerful fixer in Hollywood history, did something much more terrifying than lying. He went completely silent. In an industry built on whispers and backroom deals, Toni Mannix made a living making problems go away. He fixed murders, covered up affairs, and kept the studio's biggest secrets. But when it came to the death of George Reeves, the fixer didn't just refuse to talk to the police, he refused to ever mention Reeves' name again, even on his deathbed. What did the fixer see in that bedroom before the sirens arrived? And why was he so afraid of a truth that had supposedly already been buried? Tonight, we're looking at the unearthed files that explain exactly why the fixer took the secret of Superman's death to his grave. To understand the fixer's silence, we first have to understand the dangerous game George Reeves was playing. In 1959, George Reeves was the most famous man in America and the face of The Adventures of Superman. To every child, he was the symbol of truth and justice. But George Reeves hated the suit. He felt trapped by the Man of Steel persona, an actor capable of Shakespeare who was reduced to doing laundry detergent commercials in a cape. By the time the show was cancelled, Reeves was 45, broke, and typecast. But he had a secret weapon that kept him afloat, Toni Mannix. Toni wasn't just anyone. Toni was the wife of Toni Mannix, the legendary MGM vice president. The MGM vice president, who was rumored to have ties to the Genovese crime family. This wasn't just a brief fling, it was a years-long, open arrangement. Toni Mannix didn't just know about the affair, he seemingly encouraged it. He even bought the house on Benedict Canyon Drive, where George lived. But the arrangement had a shelf life. When George left the aging Toni for a younger, volatile socialite named Leonore Lemon, he didn't just break a heart. He insulted the fixer's family. In the code of the old Hollywood underworld, that was a death sentence. Let's look at the night of June 16, 1959. There was a party at George's house. Downstairs, Leonore Lemon and 3 guests were drinking heavily. At 1:20 a.m., George went upstairs. A shot rang out. Now, if you're a detective, the first thing you look for is consistency. But nothing about this scene was consistent. First, the gun. A 1923 Luger. This is a heavy-duty military weapon. Police found it between George's feet. But there were no fingerprints on the gun. None. Not even George's. Second, the powder. When someone shoots themselves at close range, there is tattooing, black powder burns on the skin. George Reeves had none. This suggests the gun was held at least a foot away from his head when it fired. Third, the extra bullets. This is the detail the police tried to bury. Investigators found 2 additional bullet holes in the floor of the bedroom. Leonore Lemon claimed they were from a previous incident where she accidentally fired the gun. But those holes were fresh. If George Reeves went upstairs to end his life, why were there 3 bullets fired, but only 1 shell casing found? And the most damning piece of evidence, the guests waited 45 minutes before calling the police. In the world of Toni Mannix, 45 minutes is a lifetime. It's enough time to scrub a room, move a body, and make the truth disappear. To understand why the fixer stayed silent, you have to understand who Toni Mannix was. He wasn't just a studio executive, he was a bridge between the boardrooms and the back alleys. He was MGM's General of Secrets. Before George Reeves, Mannix had handled problems that would have ended the film industry. When actress Jean Harlow's husband, Paul Byrne, was found dead under mysterious circumstances, Mannix arrived before the police. He allegedly found a suicide note, read it, and then cleaned the scene to ensure the studio star wasn't tarnished. He handled hit-and-runs for Clark Gable. He suppressed stories of sexual assault. He had the LAPD on a leash. For 30 years, Eddie Mannix's job was to talk, to lie, to spin. He was a master of the official narrative. So, when the most talkative man in Hollywood suddenly goes mute regarding the death of his wife's lover, it isn't a coincidence. It's a confession. The most enduring theory is that Toni Mannix, driven by a "hell hath no fury" rage, asked her husband to take care of the George Reeves problem. Think about the psychology. Eddie Mannix loved his wife, but he was also a man of immense pride. By Reeves dumping Toni, he made Eddie look weak. In the mob-adjacent circles Mannix ran in, weakness is fatal. If a hitman, possibly associated with Mannix's friends in the Genovese family, entered that house through the back door while the party roared downstairs, it explains the 3 bullets. It explains the lack of fingerprints. And it explains the 45-minute delay. The guests weren't in shock, they were waiting for the fixers' men to tell them what the story was going to be. But here is the twist: if Eddie Mannix ordered the hit, he realized too late that he couldn't fix the grief of his wife. Toni Mannix spent the rest of her life in a state of near insanity, reportedly talking to George's ghost and keeping a shrine to him in her home. The fix didn't bring peace, it brought a haunting. In the final years of his life, Eddie Mannix suffered several strokes. He was a shell of the powerhouse he once was. People close to him say he was haunted. Not by the crimes he committed for the studio, but by the one he committed for his home. When investigators or curious journalists tried to bring up George Reeves, Mannix would shut down. He wouldn't offer the usual, tragic suicide script he had polished for the press in 1959. He simply refused to acknowledge Reeves ever existed. Even on his deathbed in 1963, when many men looked for absolution, Mannix stayed silent. Why? Because the death of George Reeves wasn't a studio problem. It was a blood stain on his own hands. In the world of the fixer, a lie is a tool you use to protect the business. But silence? Silence is what you use to protect your soul. George Reeves died as a man who could fly, but he was brought down by the very people who claimed to love him. The police called it suicide. The public called it a tragedy. But Eddie Mannix, he called it nothing at all. And in the world of Hollywood secrets, that silence is the loudest confession of all. The Superman curse has claimed many lives, but none as mysterious as the first. What do you think happened in that bedroom? Was it a heartbroken actor, or a hit ordered by the most powerful man in Hollywood? Let me know your theories in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the dark history of the Golden Age. I'm Shadow Files and thanks for watching.